This is Mike Plaisance with the Republican newspaper and Mass Live, and we are at Holyoke, Gateway City Arts, awaiting the arrival of San Juan, Puerto Rico Mayor Carmen Yulin Cruz. We are told she's minutes away. Thank you for joining us. I know this might not be the most exciting thing, crowd shots, but a lot of these people are very pumped up that the San Juan mayor is coming here. People I've talked to said that they consider her a great leader. They appreciate the fact that she's spoken out at what many people believe to be the federal government's very slow and inadequate response to the devastation of the hurricane in Puerto Rico. So folks came out and they're ready to say hello to her. She should be here momentarily.
Bienvenidos a Holyoke-City-Council, un espacio de eventos en Holyoke en el creciente distrito de arte e innovación en Holyoke, Massachusetts. Visita
Mayor of San Juan.
Un evento que celebra a las personas y lugares que son de suma importancia para la innovación en Holyoke. Esta noche recibimos en Gateway City Arts a la alcaldesa de San Juan, Puerto Rico, Carmen Yulin Cruz. Este evento es posible gracias a los esfuerzos de nuestra anfitriona de esta noche, la concejal del Barrio 4 en la ciudad de Holyoke, Jossie-Valentin. Este evento es transmitido en directo a través de Holyoke Media y Radio Plasma, nuestros medios locales de comunicación en la ciudad de Holyoke, Massachusetts. Good evening. Welcome to Gateway City Arts, a venue in Holyoke's growing arts and innovation district. Visit gatewaycityarts.com to see what is coming up. There is something for everyone at Gateway City Arts. This is the Holyoke Innovation Week, a celebration of people and places that are critical to innovation in the city of Holyoke, Massachusetts. And tonight, we welcome Carmen Yulin Cruz, Mayor of San Juan, Puerto Rico. This event is possible thanks to the effort of our host tonight, City Councilwoman for Ward 4, Jossie-Valentin. This event is being broadcasted by Holyoke Media and Radio Plasma, our local media outlets in Holyoke.
How are you, Mike? Good, how are you?
Hola, and welcome to Gateway City Arts. My name is Lori. I'm one of the owners here, and we are absolutely thrilled to be doing this tonight. I have a couple of announcements. The bathrooms are in the back behind the bar, and the emergency exits are marked. They're all on the sides. And I would like to thank the Holyoke Police for coming, a couple of officers tonight. And I would also like to thank them for their service all year long to help us. And now I would like to present Marcos Marrero.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to an evening conversation in Holyoke with San Juan Mayor Carmen Yulin Cruz. Yeah. I'm Marcos Marrero, your host for the evening. Some of you may know me from my day job, introducing Holyoke Mayor Alex Morse at Ribbon Cuttings as the city's Director of Planning and Economic Development. This is an exciting day in Holyoke as we're in the midst of Innovation Week, the 5th anniversary celebration of the Holyoke Innovation District, providing opportunities for the community to see, experience, and connect with the people and places that are critical to the positive change in Center City Holyoke, and featuring community events and workshops that highlight downtown Holyoke's assets as a place for the collision of people and new ideas. There's no better person to welcome to the city at this time to talk about new ideas than San Juan Mayor Carmen Yulin Cruz, or as she prefers to be called, Yulin. Holyoke, Massachusetts and San Juan, Puerto Rico share a lot of connections despite obviously our significant differences. Like Puerto Rico in recent years, Holyoke has seen significant disinvestment in decades prior and has faced the prospect of reinventing itself despite ongoing challenges. Our city is home to the highest per capita concentration of Puerto Ricans anywhere outside of the island. As such, I did my part. As such, Holyoke has been a participant in matters of great interest to the Puerto Rican community on the island as well as the diaspora, such as for the freedom of Oscar Lopez Rivera, and most recently, the efforts of recovering from last year's hurricanes. On September 20th, 2017, Hurricane Maria completely devastated Puerto Rico, as most of you know. Early recovery efforts have been widely characterized as insufficient at best. As the island continues to struggle with the aftermaths of the storm's destruction today, almost 7 months later. Mayor Cruz became a strong advocate for getting much needed help and dignified care for the people of Puerto Rico, particularly in the face of seeming neglect from the highest echelons of federal bureaucracy, including the president himself. As a result of the relentless efforts of her relentless efforts, numerous non-governmental organizations and private companies supported the recovery efforts of San Juan and the rest of the island. Most people recognize her now iconic phrase, "This is not about politics, this is about saving lives," which she continues to repeat incessantly. Yeah, good up. In an apparent homage to her, every morning when my wife goes out to see her patients and, save lives, my 1.5-year-old son actually says, "Como Yulin," which is great. I can't imagine where he got that. Juline's phrase, "We need to get our shit together," though, from around the same time as us popularly known in my house, but I'm sure it will get more use as he grows older. Of course, before many international recognitions have been conferred upon her, most recently making Time's list of the 100 most influential people in the world. She has been long known in Puerto Rico and the diaspora. In 2008, she was elected representative at large for the Puerto Rico House of Representatives as the highest vote getter. And in 2012, she defeated a very strong 3-term incumbent to become mayor of Puerto Rico's capital city by relying on a coalition of students, unions, feminists, immigrants, and LGBTQ voters. In November of 2016, she was reelected by an even wider margin. Yulin has a vision for public service as governing not for the people, but with the people. A true believer in alliances and working partnerships. She sees coalitions and collaborations as the key to finding common ground to successfully achieving better and greater objectives for the common good. She's an active advocate for the Puerto Rican people and for equality in all forms, fighting for the LGBTQ community, the deaf community, and children with functional diversity, as well as those who have struggled with gender-based violence. She's also a champion for the rights of immigrants. She believes a better society is built by having strong student organizations, labor unions, and by implementing programs wherein the people in each community decide how to best develop sustainable plans for themselves. Yulin attended the University of Puerto Rico High School, better known as UHS. I went there too a few years later. And she holds a master's degree in political science from Boston University. Sorry. From Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as well as a BA in political science from BU a few miles east from here. She will be joined on stage by Ward 4 City Councilor and my favorite person to share a neighboring wall with, along with Miriam, Councilor Jossie-Valentin. Josie has been a city councilor since 2014, continuously winning by margins that are proper of unopposed dictators. And indeed, in the last election, she ran unopposed. In 2016, she was elected to be congressional district delegate for Bernie Sanders at the Democratic National Convention. Josie has been a strong advocate for the city, her ward, the Latino community, as well as the LGBTQ community for many years. Since 2006, she has worked at the Holyoke Community College as a bilingual senior academic counselor, having also been program director at Arbor House, a substance abuse residential treatment program in Holyoke, and a program director for the Psychiatric Evaluation and Stabilization Unit at the Hamden County Correctional Center in Ludlow. Originally from Puerto Rico, she received her bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Puerto Rico, better known as La UPI. Yeah! I also went there a few years after her. And she has a master's degree in forensic psychology from American International College in Springfield, Massachusetts. How we've been so lucky to host this talk tonight actually dates to Mayor Cruz's first inaugural in 2013, and a motley crew vacationing in San Juan at the time. In January of 2013, while Mayor Cruz was about to celebrate her inaugural, I was actually planning my first vacation to San Juan for the first time since taking my position in Holyoke. At that time, a somewhat tired Mayor Morse was also in need of vacation, right after some stuff with casino had unfolded here in Holyoke. And he was a late addition to the trip. Also, Rob Deza in the audience, or somewhere around here taking pictures, went down as well. Coincidentally, Josie was also in Puerto Rico, as she often travels. At some point, the idea was born to get both mayors together, which is a nice way of saying, Alex, you're going to crash the inaugural. Now, and if you know Josie, she is not shy, and you also know that she will get into an event and meet someone famous and take a selfie, if it is her will. So through mutual contacts of the mayor, of both mayors and Josie, the arrangement was possible. And after a quick shopping spree at Plaza Las Americas Mall to get the mayor some appropriate attire, the moment happened, and so did the selfie. You can find it on Facebook. Encounters would happen again between Josie and Yulin in Washington, D.C. in late 2016 during an event to support the release of political prisoner Oscar Lopez Rivera, and later in the fall of 2017 after Hurricane Maria, when Josie and her wife Miriam went down to the island to help in recovery efforts. One of Josie's missions was to personally deliver an invitation from Mount Holyoke College to the Honorable Carmen Yulin Cruz to speak at the college and in the city of Holyoke, which Josie successfully delivered and Yulin accepted on the spot. For that, please join me in thanking Mount Holyoke College, which makes this entire trip of the mayor to this region possible. Which leads us to tonight. Josie will be conversing with Yulin on stage about leadership, life, Puerto Rico, recent events, and the future. Meanwhile, if you have questions, as Miriam announced earlier, you're invited to write them down on the pieces of paper that she's provided. Some of you have already done that. Thank you very much. She'll be providing those over for me, and I will provide it for Josie. With that, please join me in welcoming to the stage Holyoke Councilor Jossie-Valentin and San Juan Mayor, the Honorable Carmen Yulin Cruz.
If you guys stand up, we stand up. If they were going to stand up for the whole thing, we'll stand up for the whole thing.
I can do that. Welcome to Gateway City Arts, people. Let's give a round of applause. You know, when this all came together, I said to Lori and VTech, I want to do this kind of big event, and it's in April, and they were like, whatever you need, whatever you need. It's going to be warm, yeah. And when I told them what I needed the venue for, they immediately said absolutely. And so it is an honor and a privilege for us to be here. Right here in downtown Holyoke, in a beautiful space like Gateway City Arts. I appreciate all of you coming and supporting us. And I've been told the bar and the restaurant are open, so go for it. I can't do that, I'm here, and I was told I need to stand, so I guess I'm not going anywhere. Whatever Yulin says happens. So the reason we were a little late is because Yulin decided she wanted to cook grilled cheese sandwiches at my house. I have a picture, there is proof, it happened. So, you know, not a lot of people can say Yulin made me a sandwich, right? And so it just shows, obviously, the type of person she is. And she lived. It just shows who she is. So what we wanted to do is kind of do this as a interview, very informal, very casual. And then, time allowing, we will open up, as Marco said, to questions. And obviously, you know, many of you probably got to know Yulin after Hurricane Maria, rightfully so, because she clearly became the spokesperson of Puerto Rico, the one that really had the cojones to get things done and said. And she really proved very Olovario también. Both. She really proved that she had no fear, that she was about putting the message out,
and holding people accountable that really did not want to be held accountable. And so for that, nasty, somebody said, and for that, excuse me, we are very much in debt to her. So let's get started with some questions for her.
Can I say something first?
You want to say something first? Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing worse than a bossy woman.
Ask Miriam, where is she? Miriam, where is she? Oh, Tatra. Thank you.
First of all, I want to say thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. It's very heartwarming. Pero le tengo que decir a los boricuas que están aquí que así es que si eres boricua di huepa. What the hell does that mean? You know, I mean, it's just like a joyful thing, right? Like huepa, you know. Right? It just, you know, if you see your girlfriend's boyfriend with somebody else, you say huepa. Or if you say hello, you go huepa. So it just depends on how you say it. And I just want to thank Josie and everybody from Holyoke for making us feel welcome today. I'm here with co-workers. Nobody works for me. We all work together. So Tito Otero is here. Tito, you lived here 9 years, and you were a teacher here. So if there's any problems with the education, you know who to blame. And Gloriana Salgado, who's right here behind the scenes, so give her a clap because she. So just before Josie begins, I just want to tell you one thing. When situations get really bad, you have two choices. That's it. You stand up and speak up, or you stand down and become an accomplice to people that, even though they have blood running through their veins, they're really non-human. And it doesn't matter where you're at or how little you can be or what the powers to be are, you have to stand up to injustice. Right? Martin Luther King said something like, injustice somewhere is a threat to injustice everywhere. So it doesn't matter if it's in Holyoke, it doesn't matter if it's in Boston, Chicago, Washington, D.C., or San Juan, Puerto Rico. We're all part of the same humanity. You know, we all fear for a future that is uncertain. And we all have to come together. We may look different, but really we're all the same. And we want the same things. So with that in mind, I told Josie that, she said, do you want to see the questions beforehand? And I said, no. Because really, I'm kind of a whizzy-whack person. What you see is what you get. Sometimes people don't like what they get. Sometimes people like what they get. But you always know where I'm standing. And that's what public policy is about. Seeing if the people that you put to administer your power, because it isn't their power, it's your power, really represent what you want and can help you move forward. So with that said, I just want to put out there that I'm not politically correct. I tend to say things like I feel them, and as somebody described me, I'm Mother Teresa with a foul mouth. So if you're faint of heart, please forgive me.
Thank you. Round of applause for Yulin, please. So you've said many, many times that you have not been the same person since September 20th, 2017. And we all know, because the press has told us, that you have been obviously an amazing spokesperson. But you still had your own emotions, your own, personal life to go through and still keep that face of being a leader. When did you first think, we are really alone and we are in serious trouble here?
Well, September 20th was a very difficult night. We were at a Coliseo Roberto Clemente. It's a venue, a concert arena. ¿Tú estabas ahí? ¿Tú estuviste en el Roberto Clemente como refugiada? Oh, wow, shit. So there's 685 people. The municipality had 7 municipal-run shelters, and there were about 200 employees. We were there to make sure that everything was taken care of, and as soon as we could get out there. But we were told that help was already in Puerto Rico. And around 4 in the morning, I said, I'm going to try and get some shut-eye. So I was married at the time. I am single, gentlemen. Well, what can I do? You gotta put it out there. And my husband at the time came to say, Yulin, se está cayendo el techo del Coliseo. I'm like, what? So it wasn't that the roof was going to cave in. It was that it was doing exactly what it was built to do. It was waving. But you have 685 people, and the roof is waving, and they can't sleep. So I said, well, I got my megaphone, and literally my knees were shaking, but I wasn't showing. And I told people, we have to move to the lateral parts of the Coliseum. And we have to move, and let's do it despacito. So people were scared. We moved everybody in about 7 to 10 minutes. And then when I looked outside, that's when it hit me that there was going to be nothing to go back to. That the San Juan and the Puerto Rico that I knew were going to disappear. That we're going to have to start from day one. So we started asking for help. Now, the municipality had enough food for 2 months, had enough water for 2 months. We had alquilado 2 gas stations. We had diesel enough. We had prepaid diesel for 2 months. We had prepaid surgical equipment and medication for 2 months. So we had handed out 689 something prescriptions for HIV patients so that they would have their prescriptions beforehand. Because we were told it may be a couple of days before you can get a hold of anybody. So then came this 4-letter word, FEMA. And they started to ask us to go to the internet to register for help. There was a total blackout. We had no electricity. We used our phones just to take pictures because we couldn't communicate with them. Satellite phones weren't working. And they kept asking me for memos, and memos, and memos, and memos. And I kept going outside and seeing people with glazed looks. Was anybody in Puerto Rico for Maria besides you? You? So, you know what I mean? We were all like lost. We didn't know literally what hit us. And finally I came out of a meeting a couple of weeks later. And it was incredible because the United States government was saying that the logistics were unsurmountable. we wonder, how can they put a man in the moon 283,900 miles away, but they couldn't get food and water to us 1,000 miles away? 5 days later, September 25th, people from New York Emergency Management were already on site in San Juan, and they continue to help. Mayor de Blasio sent them. And the first things that we got were from a project called Puerto Rico Agenda in Chicago, and Luis Gutierrez and Mayor Rahm Emanuel. And we got 75,000 pounds of food. So when I asked FEMA and they said, well, how much do you need? What are your priorities? I thought, what the fuck are these people talking about? So I knew it was very frustrating because I knew I had seen people with that glazed look when you haven't had your dialysis for weeks. We had pulled 21 elderly from one building. They were severely dehydrated. And I said, call a press conference. I'm done being politically correct. So I honestly tried. But you see, when you're faced with injustice and indignity and neglect, you either stand up or stand down. And it was so obvious that the American people were doing what the government couldn't do. They were opening their hearts. They were taking care of us, the diaspora, los Latinos. So we knew that we were in trouble. And that's when we had that famous press conference where I said, Mayday, Mayday, if anybody can hear us. Because it was evident the president wasn't hearing us. The guy that lives in that big White House in 1600 Pennsylvania. So we had to do for ourselves what they neglected to do and what the American people were doing out of the goodness of their hearts. So I always make a point of making a distinction between the government and the American people, because while one neglected it, the other one opened their arms and really took to heart the idea of helping. Not helping because we were citizens, but helping because we were humans in peril and in need. And at that point, once I said, we are dying here and you are killing us with your bureaucracy and your inefficiency. The outpouring of love that came, Goya sent us 200,000 pounds of food, the Hispanic Federation, 217,000 pounds of food, Chobani, Suiza, Chocolate Cortez, Eli Lilly brought to us a whole bunch of insulin, and it just started rolling and rolling and rolling. And the more we said, help us, the more the American people did and non-governmental organizations did. So I will forever know the difference between those that did and those that did not want to do what was right for us.
Thank you. So, it's been 7 months, very long 7 months, I'm sure, for you and for many in Puerto Rico. And a lot of the questions that, that we hear as folks that live here in the United States is, how does Puerto Rico rebuild from Maria in the context of climate change and fiscal change? No money, a fiscal control board, rising sea levels. So how does Puerto Rico rebuild from Maria in the context of both the climate change and the fiscal change?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, we demand what is rightfully ours. The fiscal control board has to go. Period. It has to go. Right now, they're putting forth a fiscal control plan that says that pensions have to be reduced between 10 and 15%. The credit at the university is going from $55 to $157 a credit. They are lowering the services and benefits for the public health plan. You're going to get a basic one. They're saving about $700 million. But then you have to buy up to get a certain amount of services. So the only way that they're going to be able to save money is by reducing the amount of services that are going to be provided. And they're saying that we need to cut benefits such as Christmas bonus or overtime pay and restrict unions. You know, we are the only municipality in Puerto Rico that has recognized the collective bargaining of our employees. So we respect that very much. Now, truth be told, I haven't been able, because of the fiscal crisis, to go over each and every one of the collective bargaining items and comply with them, because some of them take money. And a lot of the money was used up in Maria. To give you an idea, right now FEMA has reimbursed us for about $10 million, and we still have up to date about $20 million outstanding that they haven't reimbursed us. And the situation is getting worse. I have friends with other mayors that say, "Mira, alcaldesa, if I don't get paid what FEMA owes me, I may not be able to pay the last payroll in May." So it's a very difficult situation. But we are an island surrounded by water, lots and lots of water, ocean water. We did not know that until the president said it. So one of the things that we do, and that's why we are asking for a waiver of the Staffer Act, which is the act that gives origins to FEMA. Because FEMA gives you money to rebuild things. We want to transform things. If we build a grid where only just imagine this is Puerto Rico. This is San Juan right here. Before Maria, all of the generation of power happened over here in the south. Now after Maria, most of it happens here and a little bit happens in the north. And if there's huge cables that go from mountain to mountain. So guess what? Another huff and another puff and the grid is going to come down. Again, we have these things called relevo de carga. What is that? Power relay? Is that what it's called? That means that your house will have electricity for a couple of hours a day, and then you won't have electricity anymore. You don't know when you're going to get it and where it's going to stop. And everybody else doesn't know when they're going to get it, and so there's no rhyme or reason to this. But even the ones that have electricity, we have about 75,000 to 100,000 people still without electricity, and every time there's a minor thing happening, a total blackout. Last week there was a total blackout, the week before there was a total blackout. It always seems to be that line that Whitefish fixed. Yeah. I always say it smelled a little fishy. Yeah. So what we have to do is we have to get a waiver on the Staffer Act to be able to transform. We also have to notice that, they rate countries around the world and they say, or cities, and they say from a scale of 1 to 5, 1 is the least likely to get power from the sun, 5 is the most likely. The entire of Puerto Rico it's a 5. So we need to start, here's an island where there's lots of sun, 322 days a year there's sun, and we don't produce one solar panel. Not one solar panel. So we have to diversify our sources of energy. We have to go green and we have to go clean. And that's something that environmentalists have been pushing in Puerto Rico for a long time. The other thing that we need is we need to put an end to the Jones Act. Now, I understand our maritime brothers and sisters from the unions also have a right to make a living. But if there is any doubt that the Jones Act was not good for Puerto Rico, it was dispelled with Irma and Maria. The President of the United States did provide a waiver for 7 days for Irma and 10 days for Maria. That wasn't enough time to get help into Puerto Rico. So, you know, Texas got a 100% waiver on the Jones Act after Harvey. The USBI has a partial exemption on the Jones Act when it comes to energy resources or energy-related resources. So that's very important for us. The Fiscal Control Board has to go because you cannot continue to squeeze people and have austerity measures. Now, 289 schools are being, well, now they revised it. I'm sorry. I have the number wrong. Now it's 286 schools that are going to be closed down. And yeah, that's right, you know. Somebody will do una conferencia de prensa para decir que estoy mintiendo porque hay 3 escuelas de más. But you know, that's on us. We also, as Puerto Ricans, have to own up to the mistakes that we've made. This crap of putting the blame on somebody else all the time has to stop. You know, it was bad. It was bad for the President of the United States to throw paper towels on us, but it was bad for the people that were there to smile and to take selfies, right? So, you know, we have to own up to what we have not done right. Just like when people say, la alcaldesa se tardó 4 meses en recoger el debris. That's right. So you own up to it. And the people of San Juan are not satisfied with that. Neither was I. I had X number of trucks and I had to pick and choose. Either I took money and put it into just giving food and medication and water to people, or I took the money and put it towards cleaning up the debris and opening the park so that people would run and jog and etc. I did the first, and I don't have any regrets, but I can understand how people of San Juan would say, look, I'm not satisfied with that. So, you know, when as a politician, the people that you serve call you on something and they're right, you do what they do in basketball. You raise your hand and you said, you're right, personal fault, I'm sorry. And you redirect resources and you do what you have to do. So that's the third thing. Fiscal Control Board has to go. And the other thing, and I know that this is a touchy subject, but, you know, we have to touch it. We have to stop using the euphemism territory for colony. Puerto Rico is a colony of the United States. I know it's hard hearing that. It's hard saying it, but it's even worse living it. So we have to move into a dignified relationship with the United States. Now, some people think that relationship is statehood. Some people think that relationship is independence. Others think that that relationship is an enhancement of the Commonwealth outside of the territorial clause. People like me think that it's a free association pact with a double citizenship, a dual citizenship, a Puerto Rican and an American citizenship. But I often have been telling people, don't marry the result. Because the minute you start marrying the result, and I know about marriage, I've been married a few times. I often tell people... But she's
single now, she said.
I'm single now. Thank you, Josie.
I'll get my commission later.
I often say it depends how you count. Ladies, you know what I'm going to say. If you count men, it's 3 men. If you count marriage, it's 5. Because I married the first one once, the second one twice, and the third one twice. I keep doing that, right? So don't marry an end result. Marry a process. And let's somebody said it here, let's marry the process of the Constitutional Assembly. Tito was reminding me today that it's not only for its status, but it's para que un código de energía, un código climático, un código de cómo vamos a relacionarnos los unos con los otros en términos municipales. And it's something like exactly what the United States did upon its creation. So the time has come where we will no longer be able to hide our inefficiencies or inequality and our own discrimination under palm trees and piña coladas. That's it. People, the buck stops here. And we either defend what we want, respecting every voice that needs to be heard, or we just stand down. Those are the choices. Pero no podemos